Welcome back. I'm going to do another fat chat, but I'm going to have a guest with me today because this one is about the toll it takes on a person who is overweight and our emotional state and how it really can really harm us and it can harm those around us. And I kind of wanted to see sort of what he's seen over the years. We've been married for 20-something years. 20-something?
It'll be 20 this next year.
Just kidding. It's going to be 20.
Yep.
And so he's seen me. He's watched me walk through this. He's seen the worst of it, and he's seen me growing in it. So I want to hear his point of view on this. But first, I just want to say, I've shared this before. I've struggled with weight my whole life, and I wasn't even overweight my whole life. I just had low self-esteem. I don't understand why, but it was always an issue. I always wanted to be skinny. I would, at some point, I think I was even in junior high, like, no, not junior high, elementary school, and like I got into my mom's cabinet and stole some of like her diet pills. I don't know if it was television I was watching that played a role. I'm sure it did. Women that were around me, you know, wanting to be, I don't know, but as a young girl, I was just like, I need to be skinny, and I am fat. And so coming to the realization later in life that I really, you know, wasn't too overweight. And then by that time, I started to gain weight. So it was almost like this fake lie that I was believing, and then it literally happened to me, and then I had to deal with the truth of it all. So it even took me a long time to get on YouTube. I didn't want to be seen, first of all. I wanted to do it because I wanted to share this journey to being whole, and it's so important, and this couldn't be left out. Like, being overweight couldn't be left out, and so it took me so long to get to the point where I wanted to talk about it, or I wanted to be in the front of the camera, right? Because you're back, in the front of the camera, and for people to see that I'm overweight. It was just really hard, and I've been for a while, so I don't know what I was afraid of. Like, people are going to be surprised, but man, has it in the past really rocked my world, and I didn't want it to affect my kids, so I wanted to be careful, but even then it comes out. So I guess I'm going to turn it over to Justin.
Oh, I feel like I can be honest with you about stuff. Although I think in this particular issue, it's a lot more of a sensitive subject. So it's right. You have to have some care and concern. And
but
so,
I've been approachable about my weight.
Increasingly more, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think there used to be a time where it was, I was not willing to, like, you would be really harsh on yourself, and I was not willing to go there.
That would make
sense. And it's like, yeah. And you wanted to get my agreement, like, you need me to say I'm fat. And I'm like, I'm not saying you're fat. There's no way I'm saying you're fat.
Like, if I'm beating myself up, if you told me,
yeah.
what good would that have done?
Right.
Although I do care what you think. You know?
Sure. Yeah, so I think there's been a big progression. I don't think when we first got married, first got together, I don't think you... From my perspective, I don't feel like there was insecurities, or you did a really good job of masking them.
Oh, I did?
Because we knew a couple of people that were married and they were overweight, and they kind of joked, like that was their joke, like, don't get fat. And we used to joke about that. We used to joke about, like, well, you can't get fat, well, you can't get fat.
When was this?
This was like first year.
I don't remember this at all.
And so they talked about that, and we used to, but I think we were a lot more active and stuff back then too. So it wasn't like,
so.
you were never, you're beautiful. So let's just put that out there. But no, you weren't. When we first got married, you were super thin.
And I didn't seem insecure.
No.
You didn't have a clue.
No.
I was good at hiding.
Yeah.
Lying.
Yeah. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention because I'm just like, doe-eyed, and
okay.
you're just beautiful. And so I think as time has progressed, right, we've had 5 kids. So I think your body changes. It's not like, I know I look fit, but I'm sucking it in a little bit. And I told Nicole the other day I found a new fat roll. So if you do your neck just right, you get a little jowly. And so, but at 45 and at 40, things change, your body changes. And so I think...
And I want to make like room for that. What is that called? Not excuses. Grace for that. I want to have grace for understand that your body changes, or that you have had a lot of kids and you change. I fully understand that, so I'm not expecting to be 120 pounds or 115 pounds. So
yeah, and so I think there's natural. I think those are the natural things that you kind of contribute. You just get older and your body changes. But I think there's other things that we're just. I think now much worse habits than we used to, because I think being unattached to kids, you were a little bit more. We did a lot more stuff, and I think as we've had kids, we've mistakenly hunkered down more. I think we've not had as good a diet as we probably could have. And I think as you went over time, I definitely know as you went over time, increasingly in the last few years, the way that you've seen yourself and talked about yourself and felt about yourself has been much more critical than it was.
More critical.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I'm gaining the weight, so you didn't know that I had an issue, and then you saw it throughout the years?
Yeah, I think over time.
I remember him telling me many times, like, you've got to stop calling yourself fat and all this kind of stuff. So I know that you saw it. Was there a time where I kind of let it go?
I think more recently, I mean, even doing these videos, I think this is kind of a step towards that direction. But I think in the last 6 months or so, because I think it was about 6 months ago, I think I got really upset with you and was like, you got to just stop it. I mean, it's just disrespect. And I think I had gotten to the point where I knew, like, you weren't going to stop it for your sake because you felt it. But I saw that way that the kids were responding to it. And you saying around the kids.
I could cry about it. I never want to hurt their hearts about this.
And so I think that the way that they processed that was like hard. And so I think it was, maybe that was selfish on my part, because it was almost like, well, I couldn't convince you not to say it about you, so I better save the kids out of the deal. But I think if I'm being really honest about the whole progression, I don't think I've really done you a real service in that, because I think there were times where I would, kind of getting back to that question of should I say that you're fat, was definitely not going to go there, and felt like, no, what I have to do is reaffirm how beautiful she is and always tell you that, which I think caused problems because you felt a certain way and I was telling you something that you didn't feel like, even though I think it was true, and I still think it's true, it was true to me. I wasn't sensitive to how you felt about it and what you were going through. And so it was like I was throwing gasoline onto a fire when I could have been like, talk to me about that. Like, explain that to me.
See where I'm coming from?
Yeah. How can I support you in that?
What are some bad habits that you see that I do?
Bad habits. Snacking. Snacking is the worst bad habit.
All day or at night?
No, it's at night. It's like the buttered popcorn for a while. That was the.
So you don't think popcorn's a good snack?
I don't think. Well, not with
any snacking.
Not with. Well, she likes me to make the buttered popcorn just a little bit too buttery. It's like a whole stick of butter. So I'm thinking that whole stick of butter.
I did a half a stick the other day.
Right, so we're making progress.
Shared it with my daughter.
Right, so we're making progress.
I'm making progress. How about food I make at home? What are your thoughts on the healthy food I make up until now?
So I think you've done, over the last year or so, it's been much healthier foods.
Only the last year? Oh,
yeah,
wow, I thought I was doing good. See, this is so good because I'm thinking I've been making good, healthy food for a long time.
I think there's still some work. I think there's still some work to do. A lot of carbs at times.
Okay, what kind of carbs?
Well, just potatoes, rice, stuff. So
breads.
And that might be my thing, because I'm thinking, my love handles are extra loving.
I wanted to have a grain with every meal because I don't want to cut things completely out. So I have to really think that through. I know that potatoes, I've been told they're a no-no. You hear all kind of carbs are a no-no. That's what you hear. So, and I've researched it a lot, and I've gone so back and forth. So I'm really interested to walk through that. But yeah, I know carbs. So you think I make a lot of carbs?
No, I think just that one area where we could still, because you do, it's organic foods, a lot more vegetables, a lot heartier, leaner meats, and so I think we've hit a real good stride. I think if I was going to be nitpicky maybe a little bit, that's an area where I think we could still make some adjustments. I think the biggest issue, though, more recently has just been not being as active. I think that's been I think by and large, the biggest problem, and it's not a problem as much as a difficulty, and I think it's choosing that, is that it's just hard in a little small RV with 5 kids and trying to homeschool, and I work 40 plus hours a week, and so you're super busy with your schedule, and I think not being intentional about for us. And again, to me, I think That's on me as much as it is on you creating an environment where we're like, let's get out and go and be much more active.
I really want to be an active person in general. I love it, but we haven't. And I would think that with 5 kids chasing 5 kids around and laughing all the time, I would have like a 6-pack abs and be skinny. But for some reason, that does not do the trick. And I know how a body works. I know like you have to burn more than you eat and all that kind of stuff. And at this particular moment today, right now, it feels very overwhelming for me, to be completely honest. Like I said, the whole small steps thing, I'm going to have to take literal because it feels very overwhelming. It's really sad. And I also shared before that people that have these personalities that are just like, I can eat, all the tiny scheduled meals and I can work out 45 minutes a day. I am so encouraged. I can almost cry about it right now. It's so encouraging that you're able to do that. And I feel very excuse making, saying that I can't, because I can, but what's your thought on the fact that this is what I've shared was like, I feel like there are A personalities or something that are like go-getters, like, I want this, I'm going to get it. I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to lose all this weight, and I'm going to eat this, and I'm going to have all this ability. And then there's people who want it. There's people that don't give a rip. Let's just be real. People don't give a rip. And then there's those who want it and try a little bit, or those who want it and try harder. There's this middle ground where where I'm at, where I 100% want it, but it feels so hard. And it feels like a big fat excuse. So I don't know, and it hurts my heart, like to even say that I feel like I can't. Or I can, because I'm going to, but that it feels as hard as it does. It feels like an excuse.
I think it's momentum. That's the problem.
What's that?
I think when you've been stagnant and you've done life a certain way for so long, that initial like desire that rises up in you and gets you moving, I think that can work against itself. Mm-hmm. Because at first, right, when you have this huge when your desire is way beyond your ability, mm-hmm. maybe. I think you can get easily overwhelmed and feel like I'm not there yet. Well, it's like I just started yesterday, mm-hmm. so how can I be at the end? But I think as you do it consistently and as you find encouragement in the little areas like you talked about, I think that develops much more momentum. It's like that proverbial snowball rolling down the hill. It gains more momentum and steam, and as it gets moving along, I think, a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, I think will be a much better indication of kind of where you're at and where you're headed.
What do you think about what I've done so far? Because I've gone to the gym throughout the years. I've gotten gym memberships many times and been pretty consistent, but at the very least once a week, and going. And I didn't see a lot of results. So I guess my question is, how did that not work? Or I've done different programs. I bought programs or whatever to try to lose weight, or tried specific things. What are your thoughts on
that? Again, I think maybe it's just consistency. I think maybe
I didn't follow through long enough.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like our life lends itself to super regiment, and I think that's part of that journey to whole is learning to say yes to these things and no to the other things, and be real consistent in what it is we're saying yes to.
That's a good point. Well, we had to kind of readjust because we had a friend join us, huh? I'm not sure how distracting he'll be, but it's real life, huh? You just want to talk to us, huh? I was saying to Justin that I felt like he was making a really good point.
Thank you.
What was I saying?
What were you saying?
Realistic.
Realistic, yes.
I thought that being realistic is a huge deal. Because you can't set these out of control, like, goals that you cannot reach or are a little impractical. And so I thought that was important because we do that maybe as women, where we beat ourselves up because we haven't made it to this point yet. There was no way we were going to make it to that point. So I want to definitely slowly get there. We had to reset because baby was a little chatty. Okay, so...
Do I think you're fat?
Do you think I'm fat?
No. I don't think you're fat. I do think that your body is much different than it was when we first got married, but that's not a bad thing. And so I also think that just in general that's kind of a comparative word, meaning
What's comparative?
meaning like
These
compared
big words.
compared to what? Like if you
Compared to who I used to be.
well, you
Because
have you,
even
you're,
though
you're
it's a
definitely
reality-
you're definitely heavier than you used to be. But see, to me, fat is it's kind of a that's a real derogatory kind of
I know, and that's why
a mean spirited thing I think to say.
That's why I wanted to use the word in this, because it's just the reality of the word fat is extra fat. That's what's inside of our bodies.
Sure.
That's what it is. So I want to use that word for both reasons, because it's actually a fact and because it has been used terribly. So if you want to say the word heavier, am I heavier?
Technically, yes, but
Technically, yes.
I think the point of it that I'm trying to say is that you are not fat. You have more fat than when we were first together, but you are not fat. I think you're beautiful. I think you're amazing. I think you're wonderful. I'm just as much in love, if not more, probably way more now versus then, and it has nothing to do with your body. And to me, I think that's really important. But I think even more important than that, than how I see you, is understanding how you feel about yourself. Do you think you're fat?
Yes.
Right? And so I think because you think you're fat, that should concern me much more than anything else.
What do you mean concern you?
Meaning just I should be mindful of that and thoughtful of that and try to be understanding about that and listen to you about that, because I think even in you answering honestly about that, my knee-jerk response is, no, you're not. You can't say that, because I don't want you to, because I think that can be a loaded statement. Like you just said it to me just now, the way you said that was non-judgmental, but I've heard you say I'm fat, like I'm fat.
I think it's a good point, because what's our purpose when we're saying it? We're looking in the mirror and we're seeing that we're heavier than we were, or that we've gained weight. That's my purpose when I'm like, oh, I've gained weight. I don't look good anymore. Or the way that these clothes make me look is you could tell how fat I am in these clothes, or something like that. And those are the kind of things I think we mean. I mean, I don't know. I've heard, I don't know if it's like this all-out joke where a woman says, do I look fat? And the man says, yes, and then they get in so much trouble. Or they say no, and they get in trouble for saying no. I don't know where that came from, because in my mind I'm thinking, I need to know if I need to go change, because I don't want to look that way. I say it because I really want to know, do I need to go change because this isn't fitting me well? Because as women, we all know some clothes look better than they don't, and we always wear clothes, so we want to look good whether we're overweight or we're not overweight. And if I can find a style that's working with me, fantastic. Or until I lose that weight, fantastic. So we have to know what we want when we're asking. And I do you need to know what we want? Like, I don't think I'm asking, do you think I'm overweight? Because can't he see the things? Like, he knows how much I weighed when I married him in my 20s. I'm 40. Like, if we're logically thinking, he knows how much I weighed when I was 20. I'm 40 now. He's seen me, unless I'm just like eating cheeseburgers from McDonald's every single night. He might be like, yeah, you've gained a lot of weight from eating those cheeseburgers you eat every night. Versus you've made good mistakes and bad mistakes through the years. And there's been things about having kids through the years. And we haven't been as active as we should be. So I know that he has seen what I've done with my life and my time. And so he should be able to say, well, if you have chocolate cake every night, it's going to make you, he should be able to say things honestly and no, and I should be able to understand where it's coming from. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm a little confusing there. But I say all of it to say, when I'm saying I am fat, it is literally just saying, I'm overweight and I need to lose weight. And I guess I'm saying, I don't want to be like, am I fat? Do I ask you if I'm fat? Or do I just say, how do I look in this?
Yeah, you will ask that question. You don't ask that. I think you state it. It's not really,
a lot of
it's not a
think
discussion.
I know the truth.
It's more like, I'm fat, so that's that.
I'll deal with it.
So that's it, yep. It's like a Dr. Seuss thing. I'm fat, and I don't care what you think about that type of a deal. So, yeah, pretty much.
I do care. I mean, it's obviously uncomfortable in your own skin to be overweight. But I do care also what he thinks, as far as the reason I'm doing this is because I care about what he sees. Like, what do you see me doing? I want to know, like, if you know, and he's wanting to help me, so how can he help me? So, is that everything? Did I answer? Did you answer the question? You don't think I'm fat?
I don't think you're fat. I think you're beautiful. But I think you've gained weight. And I think what's most important for me is that you feel fat. And so how can I support you in meeting those goals?
But I think I feel the same way. I think I've gained weight. I don't feel, and I say it so negatively. So is that what the problem is? I'm like, I'm so fat. And so I'm like, oh, I'm disappointed today that I've gained weight. Like I'm just thinking about it by being in the mirror or putting on clothes that don't fit me. And so I'm thinking, I've gained weight and I'm hurt. My heart hurts a little bit right now over the situation.
Yeah, be honest about how you feel. Not critical. Yeah. Be honest with how you feel, and then do something about it.
Be
but
honest
don't
about
expect,
how you feel,
but don't expect the world. Do something about it, but take the smaller steps. And I would say too, if any husbands are listening in particular, I think what's most important is to love your wife and support your wife with how she feels and helping manage that, because I think that's where I failed. I haven't done a good enough job of supporting you when you feel fat. And I think maybe if I had done that before, much better, that would have given you the momentum or the encouragement, that gentle nudge to be honest with how you feel, but also then to move forward.
Yeah, being able to, I love that you said that. Being able to just be honest about it, not judgmental, to get the truth out there, and even you to be able to say, okay, I see where you're coming from, I see how you feel that way, I understand what you're saying, now what? And I think we're in the now what. We want to move forward. We don't want to sit and talk about it all the time, which is what I'm going to be doing, is sitting and talk about it all the time. But I'm hoping to, as we're sitting and talking about it, continue to move forward in wholeness and with weight. Thank you, sir, for
Thank you.
joining us in this chat. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.